Hey, good morning, everybody. This is Rob from the 411 for the 719. We're here with, I believe, the sixth or seventh edition of our podcast. I'm here with Jen and Valkyrie from Women in Partnering. And this is our first nonprofit, actually, that we're interviewing with the intent to highlight to the community, highlight what these folks are doing, and highlight their program. So, without further ado, hi, Jen and Valkyrie. How are you doing?
Good, thank you.
Good. Good. So, tell me a little bit about yourselves. Tell me a little bit about Women in Partnering. What do you do?
Women Partnering was started in 1998. Two sisters from St. Francis were inspired to find a way to empower women. One of the sisters had just come back from Brazil, and the women didn't have a voice. And so they worked with them, and they were able to become leaders in the village. And then the other sister wrote a dissertation that was considered ahead of her time because she used women from the area who were financially vulnerable to do research to create women partnering and give women a voice.
Awesome.
What was really cool about what Women Partnering started with was we started as a program where financially vulnerable women actually joined the research program instead of having just people speaking for them so that they could actually say, hey, this is what we need and this is how we can have our needs met. So, women partnering has always been focused on what the women and children that are specifically affected by financial vulnerability need and desire.
So can you unpack that a little bit? What I think I have a sense of what that means, but who do you take into your program when you say they're financially vulnerable? What does that mean?
So, 90% of the women that we serve are under the federal poverty line. But to be completely honest, financial vulnerability really means not having stability or security in a financial or economic sense. So that can mean um, lack of employment, that can mean inability to obtain housing. Unfortunately, with, as I'm sure you're aware, our housing costs far outweigh the income that most people have. So that disparity can make people financially vulnerable as well.
Great point. Over the last 18 months, well, before, I mean, honestly, so I'm also a real estate agent. I have been doing this for a decade. And one of the consistent themes
Mhm.
throughout the last decade, with in particular the last 5 years, has been the inaffordability of housing. So can women who are in this position,
Right.
can they reach out to you and you'll induct them into your program, see if you can assist? Is that how that works?
Yes. So we're twofold. We're a network, so women can call in and ask for resources in the community, and that can mean resources, um, food pantries. They need assistance with rent, assistance with utilities, and we provide them with the information to do that. But in terms of homelessness, we there are two main shelters in Colorado Springs that we refer them to, but there's also other programs for women and children, like Family Promise, that we make the connection that women may not know about.
That's excellent. So
And
the
we're
four one,
also working with the City of Colorado Springs. Oh, sorry to interrupt.
oh no, it's good. Go ahead. Go.
We're working with the City of Colorado Springs, the homelessness division, specifically on accruing more resources and expanding these networks so that we can provide the most up to date and widest range of resources, especially with regards to housing and transportation, that we can for these women and children.
That's pretty incredible. So we get in the 411. Probably, I don't think it'd be inaccurate to say 5 to 10 to sometimes 15 posts, or people seeking to post daily for who are in these dire straits. So I'm going to start sending
Right.
some folks your way. Um,
Thank you.
Thank
so,
you.
oh
Yes,
well,
yes.
thank you. But I I made a post the other day looking. So this is a coincidental interview because I made a post looking for some kind of formal process by which I can inst- I can send people to a program that I know is going to take them
Mhm.
in and do that. It's I don't have the ability to to do what you're doing. And somebody pointed out too that there are organizations like yourselves who have that ability rather than let the posts through necessarily. We want to be efficient in the way we're connecting them through resources. So expect some message
Exactly.
traffic from me. Yeah, that's awesome.
Right, right. And they can call our number, which is 719-577-9404, or they can email us at info@womenpartnering.org. And then
Okay.
we'll,
And I
Yep.
love that you brought up that you're not trying to duplicate services. You'd rather streamline everything because that's our mission, really. We want to make sure that everything that we provide is what specifically everyone needs. Like, we're not going to sit here and say, okay, well, we'll provide this, this, and this when there are resources like that already available, because we can just say, hey, we know this person at this place, and you can go here and get what you need, because that lifts everyone up. We're not trying to become a one-stop shop necessarily. Rather, we're a resource bank. And so we're trying to raise community awareness about that because, like you said, so many people post every single day on forums across the internet asking for, hey, I don't know where to go. I don't know who to talk to about this. I don't even know where to start. And that's the beauty of women partnering. And we've been in the business for 22 years. So we've established quite a few resources in our bank.
and the other part of what we do is invite women to be our partners. And that means they create an individual development plan, which is holistic. So we identify goals. For example, like physical, where they live, are they able to sustain that for the next year? Their health, education, do they want to go back to school or get their GED? Work, so we help them find resources for work and create resumes or point them in the right direction and help them find jobs. We also address emotional. So we have programs that work on self-care for women, but if needed, they need a therapist. We'll also assist them in finding one that's appropriate. A large percentage of our women are Spanish speaking, so it's very important for us to find Spanish speaking therapists so we can relate to them more easily or better and aware of their culture. And then we also work on social support because that's very important to not be alone and isolated. And then spiritual. So that means what gives you meaning in life. So we meet women where they are. Some are not able to address all those issues at once, but because our women are allowed to stay in our program beyond 3 6 months, um, they often come in a crisis, and we're able to help stabilize them. But once they've been stabilized, they're able to move forward and move on and reach those other goals. So, like for example, we had one woman who came in a domestic violence situation, and we were able to help her through that process through divorce and child custody issues, and she was able to articulate what her needs were. And then once she was stabilized, she was able to go back to school to get her dental hygienist degree.
That's awesome. There's I often wonder, it seemed I see a lot of folks though. There's so much information out there that it can be overwhelming, and
Yes.
people
Well,
just need
and the
sometimes a
processes
guide.
aren't necessarily straightforward either.
Right, right. Well, and so I often think about what you've seen what we do in the 411, and I wonder sometimes with all the information available, is there a room for a model like you've got, and absolutely there is. because there's so much information, it can be overwhelming. So people don't even know where to start. I guess what I'm saying too is I often see people on social media, somebody will ask a question and they'll say, well, just Google it. Well, that is not necessarily the answer to the question. So it's good on you. You've created a system, and some people just need help. They need help and they need guidance. Even as much information is out there, something as simple as just a list of resources for people to access helps somebody, especially in a crisis. Hey, this is the plan you need to follow, rather than having to research your own plan. That's amazing that
Well,
you've built this.
and more than just like handing someone a list of resources, like here are places that you can contact, we take it a step further. So we go, we have this particular point of contact at this organization. Talk to this person and they can meet your needs here. So it's not so much like that cold call feel where someone is going in, I don't know what to do, and they just told me to talk to you. Like, it's here is how this process works, here is who you should talk to, and here is how you will be able to move forward with them. So we give them as much information as possible and support them through it. Advocation and also just being side by side with this person or this woman if she needs that kind of assistance or if she's alone. Like for myself personally, I was very isolated in my situation when I came here, and having a support network, having women partnering, have someone here and I don't want to say hold my hand, but I guess pat me on the back or have my back as I'm navigating all of this, that really gave me the security and the support that I needed to find stability. And that's something that not very many nonprofit organizations provide. It's often here, or we'll give you this for this period of time, but after that, you no longer qualify. So that's what's so unique about women partnering is there are no time frames. There is no set like, oh, you didn't meet this or you missed that, so we're gonna have to kick you out. And it's also that one-on-one, like, hey, if you want help filling out a FAFSA, if you want help going through how to fill out the Medicaid backgrounds, or if you want help connecting with doctors, so on and so forth, we're there for that.
It's
Right, and
incredible.
we give women the tools. So some women may not feel comfortable making calls, so we prep them so they can do it in the future and we sustain
Yes, that
and
long
keep
term.
them, yeah, keep
Yeah.
the tools they learn so they can be more self-sufficient in the future.
And
Do you
speaking of that sustainability, like we have programs where we focus on building these skills specifically. So women that become partners, we provide these resources to anyone who contacts us. But women that decide, okay, this is something that I would like to join and to partner with, they come in, they fill out what it is that they'd like to work on goal wise, and they're able to start attending some of our extra programs specifically for partners. One of those is an education based group where they work on skill building, such as how to navigate being assertive, how to express your needs in a healthcare setting and make sure that you're being heard and advocate for yourself, how to diffuse a situation where you're feeling unsafe or you're dealing with negative influences, how to successfully engage in physical health and well-being, like what that looks like for you and how to make it easy for you, so on and so forth. So yeah, we really make sure that we provide as many tools and resources as possible because I mean the whole goal of every nonprofit should be to work yourself out of a job eventually, right? Like,
no, it's a good point. So how does a business So, for example, I am a programmer. How can I offer as a how do I offer my services to help with those workshops if
So
someone
that's,
was interested in computer skills?
yeah, that's actually a
Wow.
fantastic question. We love having as many people. We actually have another program that is called an enrichment program where we have people such as yourself come in and teach the women and children that are interested, hey, this is how you can do that. This is how you can learn how to code. This is how you can learn how to program, or how to build a computer, or how to become an entrepreneur. So we want to make sure that in that education piece and in that intellectual piece that we're providing, as much stimulation. We know that not everybody is interested in one specific vein, or there's not one specific fits all. So having as many people like yourself come in and inspire these women.
Okay, I'll definitely reach out after this and
Well,
see how I
thank
can
you. Yes.
how I can contribute there. So, what are some of the challenges that you face in your program, or some of the biggest challenges you face?
I think finances is one of the biggest challenges because a lot of our money comes through grants or donors. And some grants have stipulations where you can only apply for 2 years. So you're constantly looking for different grants and ways to support. And then fundraisers. So when we also do 2 fundraisers a year, and we're actually having a fundraiser this Sunday at Mount St. Francis. We're having Wirewood Station concert. So if anyone's interested, feel
Yeah,
free to.
please buy tickets, or tell everyone that you know to buy tickets, because we're going to have food trucks, we're having lawn games, we're having free childcare that we're providing so that the adults can actually enjoy the concert. But we're trying to be as aware, or make our presence as known in the community as possible, and that I think is it goes hand in hand with that financial challenge. We're not as well known as the HSPPR, or some of these other nonprofits that are national and obviously well known. And we love what we do, and what we do is very important. We've been doing it for 22 years. We've got a really good program and methodology down for success. We've served successfully over 1,000 women and hundreds of children. And the problem, though, is that financial piece. Having a nonprofit, trying to make the connections to build consistent support, that's something that we're working on overcoming.
I imagine that's a continual challenge, daily challenge, probably to balance the assistance with the budget with just
Exactly.
hopefully this brings some additional limelight to your program and
Thank you.
so where do folks go to buy those tickets?
So you can go to our website. We're at womenpartnering.org. We've got 2 links that pop up for the Music on the Mount concert. We're also on Facebook. It is listed as a Facebook event. So if you look up Music on the Mount presents Wirewood Station, we'll be there. We're also on Facebook just as Women Partnering, and you can find our events pinned to our page there. We're also in every calendar across all digital media in Colorado Springs. So Peak Radar, coloradosprings.gov. We're on cpr.com or .org. Basically, the Gazette, everything, CS Indie, all of them.
Right. But the easiest would probably be to go to our website, womenpartnering.org. And it's actually women spelled WOMEN
Okay.
instead of the traditional MAN.
Okay, I'll make sure to link that here too. So, what is your vision for the future of women partnering?
So, for me personally, as someone who started in women partnering as a partner, I would love to see women partnering become one of these national organizations, one of these national nonprofits like Domestic Violence Hotline or any of these other women's nonprofits that are well known because what we do is important and the network that we can provide nationally. But that's a much further down the line goal. I would say our biggest goal right now is expanding to make sure that we can support all of El Paso County.
Which ties
And
back to the budgeting too. You need the financial support to be able
right,
to expand.
right, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
How many women are in your program right now?
Right
So,
now, we have about 50 that are actively working on an individual development plan.
and it's funny that you should bring that up because we've in the last 3 days got 4 new women that have asked to become partners. So we're constantly expanding and we're growing because, like we discussed earlier, there is that need, especially here with the disparity between cost of living and income. Um, but we're looking to expand so that we can handle the expansive needs of these women and children.
Yeah, it's easy to say hey, just fix your situation, do this, do that. But then when you look at the reality of things like the average cost of an apartment, the deposit, even
Right.
just the deposit, 2 or 3 times the deposit required.
Exactly.
Most folks do not have that money. Then the credit requirements, and then just the
Right.
job requirements. And it's
Mm-hmm.
so that is at least 50 lives you're changing. Not I mean, plus the ripple effect of that. If each of them have an average of 2 kids, that's 150
Right.
lives you're changing. Kudos to
Mm-hmm.
you for all of those efforts. Um, yeah,
Thank you.
yeah, no, thank you. We usually end the segment with a couple of fun questions. So let me ask you a couple of them here. So if you could have dinner with anyone, dead or alive, any time frame, who would it be and why?
You answer that.
So this is a little off the wall, but I would say probably Ida B. Wells or Bessie Stringfield, or and I know you're a parent of girls, any of the rejected princesses, really.
That's awesome. Yeah. I'm a dad to 2 little girls, and I'm the dad that lets them paint my fingernails. And funny story, one time, when I was active duty one day, I came to the gate of the base and I handed my ID card to the airman at the gate, and the
Oh
airman
no.
the airman looked at me in a very funny way, just very weird, and he said, "Good morning, Master Sergeant." And I said, "Good morning, Airman," because it was super formal. And I go to my office, and I used to work. My last job was with a bunch of officers, right? And I was enlisted, and so I walk in, and a major walks by me, and he looks at me very funny, and I said, "Good morning, Major," and he said, "Good morning, Master Sergeant," and just very formal, right? And I couldn't. I was like, "This is very weird morning, right?" So I go to my cubicle. I'm doing my thing, and I check my emails, and a little while later I go to the bathroom and I'm washing my hands, and I look up in the mirror for the first time that morning. I used to shave with a electric razor, right? So I didn't have to. I looked right, and I have a Hello Kitty tattoo on my face, and
Oh
I was like
no.
in uniform, right, having gone through most of the morning, right, and so I walked out and I found that major, and I was like, "You sir, why did you not tell me?" And he's like, "Well, I just, I'm like, okay, okay, but that's me.
Oh,
That's that.
joys
It's
of
a, they're,
parenthood.
That's
yeah,
so
they're
funny.
12 and 13 now, so they're not so interested in painting nails anymore. But yeah, one of them did ask me, "Dad, can you braid my hair the other day?" And I was like, "Absolutely." So,
Oh,
but
Oh,
yeah, no, it's
that's awesome.
what you do is so awesome. So awesome. Well, tell me, what's your last question? What's your favorite? If you could be any book character, who would it be and why?
ooh, okay. So mine would be, and this is another off the wall one, but probably Ender or Bean from Ender's Game, the book series, not the movie. The movie was terrible. But yeah,
why them? They're fantastic characters and very deep.
So
Why?
the reason why is because they use their intelligence and compassion and determination to get through. They go through trials constantly. They are pitted against insurmountable odds, and they rise to the occasion through their determination. And that resonates with me. And I also love, in specifically Ender's Game, the concept of having this compassion and this love for a, a, a being that is supposed to be the enemy, that everyone else calls the enemy, and when you come to know and understand them, how can you not love them? And that sense of compassion and love, and like, how can we make this the best possible outcome for everybody? Looking for that. Here are two options. Well, no, I'm going to go with the third option. You know what I mean?
And I would say for me, the dad in To Kill a Mockingbird.
Oh, Atticus Finch.
Yes, me too. And just how he stood for what was right, despite everyone else going against him, and especially with the culture and everything. And he stood his ground. So, and I really respect that.
Those are two very profound. Oh, no one's turned that question around on me yet. Okay. Let's see. Off the cuff here, I'm going to go with Michael Valentine Smith in the book Stranger in a Strange Land. And now the book is by a guy named Robert Heinlein, who's considered one of the grandfathers of sci-fi, as you probably know.
Starship Troopers.
There you go.
Absolutely.
Yep. Now, the book is very dated, and in terms of the interaction and there's some discussion about whether or not the misogyny present in his books are a are either a reflection of the time, or maybe there's some thought too that he put that in there in such some outlandish ways that to satirize, if you will, to call out that behavior of the time too. So if you set that aside, though, with regard to that character, there's a term in the book called grok, and this gentleman, he grew up on Mars. He's the product of a relationship between a couple astronauts that crash land on Mars and unfortunately passed away. But the long story short is, it turns out there's Martians, but they're beings of such a nature that we can't see them unless they choose to manifest. And they take this human infant and they raise him for 26 years or so as a Martian. And so, but 26 years later, they send a recovery mission. They find this young man. They bring him back to Earth. And so the story is largely about his trying to understand humans. And there's a Martian term called grok. And he seeks throughout the book to achieve a deep level of understanding about human interaction, and when he says he wants to grok something, he'll often go into a meditative mode for days while he contemplates something as simple as the nature of water. And so if I guess I would say him, because I want to understand at that level concepts, connections, and help people understand that. And just pretty moving character in terms of his naivety too. In some cases, he's just like what, but also he deconstructs a lot of the social constructs we have, to the point of what you're talking about earlier with Ender. You can look at that book as an intergalactic space battle in which we dominate humanity. But there's a whole other flip side, which the rest of the books detail, right?
The layers that are present in both Heinlein's works and Orson Scott Card's. Absolutely.
There you go. That's that you two chose those two characters speaks volumes to your character and to your organization. I think that's amazing. So that's amazing. So the last words yours. Please, what would you have the 411 and anybody who watches this podcast know?
So we would love you to know that we are here for any woman or child that needs us in the greater Colorado Springs area, and that we would love to have your support. If you feel called to help empower the women and children in our community, please reach out to us so that we can connect and form these partnerships. We are always looking to expand, and we love our community and we love how supportive it is. So thank you for letting us be a part of it.
Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you for being a part of it. Can I ask one more time, how do we get a hold of you?
So call us at 719-577-9404. We're on Facebook at Women Partnering. We're on our website at womenpartnering.org. So you can reach us all sorts of different ways, and we are always available and here for you.
Well, thank you, ladies, for your time, and I'm going to make sure to get this one published here shortly for you, so we can get a shout out in time for that concert. And thank you so much.
Thank you.
So appreciate it.
And yeah, no, I really appreciate everything that you've done for our community. By the way, Rob, like I know like how you've helped my friends and myself and just everyone in our community with housing and with resources. So what you do,
it's very impactful.
It is, and it means a lot to us. And I must applaud you because to get into programming and coding during COVID, like, whoo, that was an endeavor, but that's fantastic.
Thank you. Well, I just like you. I'm just trying to be as efficient as possible to deliver resources and connection and information. And what I found was there's a lot of information out there that's not presented in an easily accessible way, and or people will actually, for different reasons, they'll gatekeep that information. They'll say, hey, this is my information, and you can't, have it, or you got to come through me to have it. So I went back to school to learn the program so that I could democratize that information and build resources to connect people, like the property manager's resource and things like that. So thank you, because I'm also always looking for ways that we can just, if we could add a field to that website, the property manager's website, for example, that talked about, is it friendly to women in crisis, something like that. That let me know, or we can add your information. But
if you were serious about offering your services, I think especially our kids would love to learn more about coding and programming.
Absolutely,
yeah. As well, having that. Sorry.
Absolutely. I'm absolutely serious. So yeah, let me know how I can best, what you need, and then if I can build a curriculum around whatever you think is the best. So sometimes I get too far into the weeds of I can do data analysis with Python, and we can do this and this and this. But what you said earlier about even just a class on, this is what a computer is, this is what a hard drive is, this is what RAM is. Yeah, I'm happy to do anything that runs the gamut from that to how to build a web page, or talk about entrepreneurship and mental models, and what does it mean to even get taught a class a couple weeks ago where we were talking about mental models and frameworks. And one of the pieces of feedback, at first when I was teaching this class, I was actually a little bit like, is this going to resonate with people? Is it going to do people want this, right? And then somebody made a comment in the class that I was really moved by, and they said they hadn't even conceived of the ability to think in a mental model kind of way, a checklist. And that goes to what we were talking about earlier too, where there's so much information about there, particularly like when people are in crisis, they need a checklist to follow. Hey, this is, or they need someone to help them walk through that checklist. But I'm rambling. But no, it's a very serious offer, and anything that I can help with, please say the word.
Thank you. Yes. We absolutely will. And thank you for letting us foster this partnership, like between you and Women Partnering. This has been amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. And feel free too to, we'll put this on the 411, but anytime, anything you need to post in the 411, let me know. And or we'll get you pre-approval status, so you just shoot straight through and you're not waiting on the mods or myself to approve any posts. So yeah.
Well, thanks.
Thank
Wow.
you.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
that would be
It's been
fantastic.
amazing.
And yeah,
Okay,
if you
cool.
can just off the top of my head, if you could repin or I can reshare about the Wildwood Station concert, just because we really are right now trying to focus on selling as many tickets as possible. We have a raffle
Mhm.
that we've decided to add to it um, to
Okay.
hopefully entice ticket sellers or ticket buyers.
Look,
But yeah,
well, let's do this. Let's have you share that post here momentarily. When we get done
okay,
here, I'll pin
Okay.
it, and then also I'll expedite the processing of this podcast, and we'll get this in there too. And
thank
Thank
yeah,
you.
let's
you
Thank
get
you
that
so
done.
so
Yeah.
much.
much. We
Oh
really
no, thank you.
appreciate that.
Thank you for what you're doing. This is the least I can do. Okay, well, thank you.
Thank
We'll wrap
you.
this up here, and we'll get it
Okay.
posted. Talk to you soon.
Awesome.
Wonderful. You have
Thank
a great
you.
rest of your day, Rob. Thank
You
you.
too.
Bye
Thank
bye.
you. Bye.
Bye.